evening to all of you. This side Dr. Pankaj Mishra on behalf of Stu Valley Technology. This is a series of national workshops on research methodology. Or we are already conducted two workshop on research methodology topic, how to prepare for your RDC, how to prepare your synopsis, and basic tools, and what are the key components of your research proposal. That two workshop already conducted, and today's workshop is specifically on the data collection. What is data? What is data collection? There will be the 2 day seminar, as we already shared the browser with you. Now, our guest and expert with this for this seminar is Dr. Devilana Talukdar. She is associate professor at the Kishore Bharati Bhagini Nivedita College, Kolkata. It is affiliated to University of Kolkata. She is the expert and well versed with all the data techniques, and she is having a very vast experience in the field of data analysis, statistical analysis. So, in day one workshop is maybe a theoretical part, while in the day two workshop, she will explain you about all the key feature of statistics and how to use the various software and other things. The well practical explanation will be there. So, welcome, Dr. Evelina.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity. And I hope that this session is going to be very interesting. And I will try my level best that I will present each and every facts, whatever I'm presenting. That presentation should be in a most simplest manner so that it can be understood by the layman person also, like who is not aware about the research also. So he or she can also understand it very well. So I need to present my presentation.
Ma'am, one more thing that I want to say to all the
Yes.
participants. Dear participant, please mention your real name or complete name in your uh, Google Meet, so that at the time of attendance we record the actual attendance, and it will also help you to provide the certification. As you know, this is for the certification. This is a certification program, and you can use all the certification for your university purpose, okay, whatsoever the research purpose you require. So please mention your correct name so that we can properly address your name in your certification that we develop, and after attendance only we can provide the certification. Okay.
Okay. So I'm starting the session.
Yeah, yes ma'am, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. First, we will know like in which part of the research we actually conduct this data collection process. Okay. So data collection generally comes, if we see in a very simple manner also, like the standard format that we actually maintain for research, it generally comes in the third chapter. Okay, so first we have done with the introduction portion, then after introduction, in introduction portion, we generally include objectives as well as the hypothesis research questions. Okay, and after that, following it, we generally do the review of related literature. Okay, so in review of related literature, we are finding out the related literature as well as the research gap, summarization of the related literature, and after that, what we do when we have find out the research gap, and based on it, we generally move towards the third chapter, that is a research methodology part. Now, in this research methodology part, most of the participants or most of the, we can say, the candidates are having problem like how to collect the data. Even if they do, collect data, but after collecting, we need to standardize those data. Most of the study that I have seen that they have collected the data, but this
Ma'am,
data
your
is
full screen is not visible.
full screen is not visible.
Yes ma'am.
Just a second. But I'm showing the full screen on this one. Now it's visible.
No, ma'am, maybe possible you had share only a PowerPoint presentation as a window. Please reshare as an entire screen. Actually, this is the bug of Google Meeting. In Google Meet, when you are sharing PPT, you have to be share entire screen.
But I'm in my screen. It's showing the
See, your
entire.
screen is visible. but only your PowerPoint presentation page is the whole slide is given. It's not come in the slide view or presenter view.
Just a second. So now,
No, it's still not coming. You just stop presentation and share entire screen. That
uh,
will be helpful.
just a second.
Yes, Ramkrishna ji, you have any question?
Share entire screen.
Nothing, sir. Nothing, nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Yeah, G Praveen ji, do you have any question? You raise your hand. Okay, no issue. Praveen ji, your mic is off. I'm not able to hear. Praveen ji, your mic is off.
But sir, from my side, I am showing the full screen. If it is possible, then I have already shared you the PPT. So if it is possible, you can share from your side also.
Okay, just a moment. The first one, ma'am.
Yes, the data collection one, sir.
Is it visible to all?
Yes, yes. Now it is
Yes.
visible.
Complete
Yeah.
is
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
yeah. Okay, ma'am, you may go ahead from here. You just instruct me when you want to change.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So first we will start with like data collection, as I was saying, where we actually do this data collection. In the third chapter, we generally start with the data collection. Now, what is this data? So data is generally, we can say it's a fact, it's an evidence, it's an information which we use to collect information, which we use to collect the sort of evidence from the respondents. Now, this data collection procedure is a very systematic process. So, this actually includes three or four functions, which includes the gathering, recording, organizing the information so that we can start our investigation. So, data collection is generally, we can say, it's a kind of gathering the data. Like we have vast amount of data, so we need to accumulate those data, then we need to record the data. After recording the data, we need to organize because some of the data which are not relevant to our study, we need to just eliminate those data. Okay. And then what we do, we generally use it for the specific our research investigation. Now, in this process, this empirical data. Now, what is this empirical data? Have you heard the term about the empirical data? Any idea about anybody can say what is this empirical data? The term empirical means the data which we generate through our experience. Okay, empirical means the data that we generate through our experience or through the observation. So that is the empirical data. Okay. So this data, whatever data we have gathered, we have sorted, we have organized, this data is generally used for testing the hypothesis. And by testing the hypothesis, we can draw the meaningful conclusion so that we can get a accurate result. Whatever we want to find, whether that is being accepted or rejected. So based on that, we can, uh, conclude our study or we can find out the consequences of our study. Now, there has been a definition has been provided by the National Institute of Health, that is data collection is the process of gathering and measuring information or targeted variable in an established systematic fashion, which then enable one to answer the relevant questions and evaluate the outcome. So in data collection, we have a variable. So anybody is having idea what is this variable? The term variable means, if anybody is having any problem like in any portion which you are not able to understand, you may ask question also. Okay, so what is the term variable means? Anyone? Okay, Ramkrishna Reddy
It's
has raised hand. Huh?
a variable means it can change its information. Like we can
Variable.
store information in the variables.
Okay. Give more clarity, like how we can change it. Anyone? See, this is a bookish definition that we generally see that variables that keeps on changing. But variables, we can say variables, these are the characteristics of whom, of person, object, which keeps on changing. Okay. Now, with this variable, we also have one more term that is a construct. So variables and construct, most of them are used interchangeably, but both are different. Okay. When we will start with the variable portion, I will show you how these variables are interchangeably used with the construct. So construct, we can say these are just the domains, but variables, which we can say it's a characteristics that is related with the person object, which keeps on changing. It is not static. How? Like age of a person. So that is not a static and it's a characteristic also. So day by day, it keeps on changing. So that is a variable. Now, what we do through this data collection, we gather information about this variable, the variables which is our targeted, the variables with which we are actually working. So, so the screen is not visible, sir. So variables, these are the targeted, we can say the characteristic on which we are actually working. So again, the screen is not coming. And with this variable, what we do, we generally find out the outcome, like based on the characteristics of this variable, we find out the outcome. And based on this outcome, we generate the conclusion, whether the study that we have conducted, whether we are getting the positive or the negative one. So based on that. Wait for a while. Okay.
Now, okay, madam. I just okay.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it is visible, madam. Yeah.
Okay. Now, whenever we are conducting this data collection portion in our research, we have to first see our variables. So, based on this variable, we will frame the research questions so that we can get the relevant information from our study. Okay. So next one is also like the definition that has been given by the American Statistical Institution or the association. So there also they are stating the same thing. So these are the targeted variables of interest. Targeted why? With these variables, we are actually conducting the investigation in a systematic manner. As I have stated that this data collection portion is a very systematic format. We have that fixed format. So based on those fixed format, we conduct the research. And with this systematic format, we actually accumulate the information, maximum number of information, so that we can conduct our study. So the next slide. Now, need of the data collection. Why we need this data collection? So data collection in research, foundation of research. So without data, we can't do anything. Okay, when we are conducting, whether it's a qualitative one, whether we are conducting the quantitative one. So both type of research, we need data. Okay, now from where we this data? From where we generally get this data? We get this data from the articles, from the thesis. Okay, so these are the various sources, even the encyclopedia. Okay, so these are the various sources from where we generally get or obtain the data. Even if not, like for the quantitative one, through observation, okay, through deductive reasoning, through inductive reasoning, from there also we can generate the data. When we are doing the quantitative study, for quantitative study, we generally generate data through our observation, through our experience, as well as we can say that the person who is much more experienced. Okay, so from those person also we can generate data. Like when we are going for a data collection, so we are asking the people like about anything, about like whatever our study is being, the pertaining interest we find in the study. From those people, from those respondents also, we are also collecting the information. So in quantitative research, we have to visit to the person, to the respondents. So from there also we collect the data. Even the experienced person, as I have told, that from experienced person also we can secure the data. Now, this data collection, whatever we have obtained the data through various sources, we use this data for the hypothesis testing. If we go for the qualitative one, then we use this data for, analyzing the research objectives as well as the research questions. And for the quantitative one, we use this data for the hypothesis testing. Now, in many study, I have seen that people are using hypothesis study, or they are framing the hypothesis, but whenever they are testing those hypotheses, the result that they have actually generated from the study, that is not related with the hypothesis. Why? It's because you are finding out something based on mean and median. Okay, like whatever results that you are getting, so those the results are actually related with mean and median, and the far more you can say it is related with the standard deviation. But for hypothesis testing, we need to test those assumptions. Okay, whatever assumptions that we have already formulated, we have to, test those assumptions on the basis of 5% as well as 1% level. Then only we can get whether the hypothesis is being accepted or rejected. But many of us, what we do, we generally do like we give the descriptive data, and based on those descriptive data we just say like this is the mean, so these are the descriptions we are getting from the variables, and many of them just put the graph, and based on that you have this concluded. But that is not the base for testing the hypo. Whenever you are using the hypothesis, you have to test on the basis of 5% as well as 1%. Then only whatever assumptions that you have actually formulated for your study, so you can say whether it's being accepted or rejected. Now, how we are going to formulate, how we are going to test, we will come in the next portion. Next, after that, what we have to do, so in the previous slide, next, what we have to do, we have to validate those hypotheses and the theories. So how we can validate? We can validate through the scientific inquiry. So we can use the scientific procedure, that is inductive as well as the deductive reasoning, through experimentation, through survey only. Whatever data we are getting, we can validate. What does this term validate actually means? We are the purpose for which we are using the study, the purpose is being served with our investigation. So that is a validation. Validation means when you are stating that whatever the information that you have gathered, so those are valid, that those are not actually fake. So that is a validation. Now we are coming to the informed decision making. So whether you are from the field of business or healthcare or education, doesn't matter. Now we have to make some decision, like data that we have collected. From the pattern of the data, we can understand the relationship. Okay, like whether the data is in the lowest level, whether the data in the highest level, whatever we are testing. So from the pattern only we can generate. Like in most of the responses, we have seen that most of the candidate or the respondents have answered that strongly disagree, strongly disagree. So from the pattern only we can generate whether like the data is going in which trend. So next slide. Now, monitoring and evaluation. Now, after collecting the relevant data, now what we will do, we have to assess those data. How we can assess? We have to use various kind of intervention. Like if you are doing the experimental research. So in experimental research, what happened? Once you have collected the data, once you have tested, now after giving some kind of treatment, some kind of intervention, again you have to test the data. Okay, so that is a monitoring and evaluation. Like if you want to test something that is related with a drug, whether this drug is suitable for cancer patient or not. So in that case, first what you will do, you will use the sample base on a few number of respondents. Okay, so after using the sample piece on the few number of responses, again you will give some kind of treatment, other treatment. Now you want to see whether the previous drug is suitable or the second one. So this way we can monitor whether the drug that which we are using for the cancer patient, whether it's suitably for the candidate or not, whether it's suitably for the sample or not, whether the first one is much more suitable or the second one. So this way we can monitor with the help of data also. Okay. Next, we will identifying the trends and pattern, as I have stated that through data collection only we can find out the pattern of the data, whether it is showing the positive relationship between the variables, whether it's showing the negative relationship, whether it's showing no relationship, or like what it can be a future outcome, like what will be a future outcome. So on the basis of that we can analyze the trend. Okay, we can analyze the trend or the pattern of the data. Now we are coming to the quality improvement. By collecting a data, by collecting a original data, most of the time what we do, we just in our mind we have a kind of setup like let's use 100 sample, let's use 150 samples. So on the basis of that we have set in our mind and we are just working on it. But that is not a systematic way. Whenever we are collecting a data, we have to choose the accurate sample size also, whether this sample size is relevant for our study or not. So for that also we have to use some kind of formula, that is a sample determination formula. So based on that we will apply the pilot study, and based on the pilot study result we will apply it on the main sample. So this way we can bring improvement in the data collection as well as data analysis procedure. Now supporting research findings. So without data, if there is no data, if we don't have any sort of data, so we won't be able to give a final touch to our study. So data collection is very important. Without it we can't draw the relevant conclusion that is pertinent for our research. So next slide. Now there are various methods for data collection. Okay, as I have already told that this data collection comes under chapter 3, that is under the research methodology portion. So many of times we have heard two terms like method and methodology. So what do you say? This method and methodology both are similar or like they have any differences? Anyone? Like in third chapter, we have seen that research methodology is the third chapter. Okay, so two types of terminology we generally use, that is research method as well as research methodology. So what do you think? This method and methodology both are similar or they have actually some kind of differences? Anyone? What do you think? Both are
Methodology is the tools that we use in order to collect the data.
okay.
Method is, as you shown in the screen, primary data and secondary data.
So primary and secondary data are what? They are the sources, but you have stated the opposite one. Methodology, we can say it's a strategy. Okay, methodology is a, we can say it's a philosophy, the research that we are using. So why we are using this research? So this is just a background of philosophy. Like if we have selected the descriptive one, so why we have selected the descriptive? So it is a philosophy behind your research. And now we coming to the method. Method means that is the tools that we are using. Okay, the tools that we are using, tools like observation, interview, questionnaire, okay, rating scale, checklist. So these things comes under the method. That is a tool. And the methodology means it's a framework. So under this framework, we generally see the philosophy of the research methodology, like why we are using this particular methodology for this research. Understood? Like survey method or the experimental method. So this is a methodology. Why we are using the experimental method? Why we are using the descriptive survey method? So this is a methodology. And method is the tool. Tool means the tools that we are actually seeing in the screen, that is the observation, interview, okay, the questionnaire, rating scale. So there are numerous kind of, the techniques or tools are there. So that comes under the method. See here also it's written method of data collection. It's not a methodology. Methodology means the philosophy behind your research. Now, we can actually divide this method of data collection into two parts, the secondary sources and the primary sources. So, secondary sources, it's very common. Secondary sources, the publications, the articles, the census report, the data, even the histories also. Whatever sources that we are collecting from the research article through internet, okay. So, that is a secondary data, and the primary data where the person or the researcher has actually visited the field and through applying, or we can say applying this various kind of tools, he or she have collected the data. So primary source are generally divided into observation, interview, questionnaire. So these are the primarily that we generally use, but there are also many others like rating scale, as I stated you. Checklist is also there. Okay. Then differential aptitude tests. So there are numerous, but these three kinds we generally primarily use for our study. Now, observation, participate, and the structured one. Okay. So, what is the participant observation? Participant observation, when as a researcher I'm participating in the research study, like I'm pretending the sample, like I'm pretending to the respondent that I am one of the member of your group. Like if I'm conducting study on the tribal group, so I'm pretending the tribal group that I am one of the members of your, and I will stay with you, I will see your I want to learn something from your culture. So that's why I'm here. So by participating in the process, I will collect the data, but I won't be able to let them know that yes, I'm just observing them and I'm just collecting the data. So that one is the participant one. And the non-participant one, what you can say, non-participant, like I'm not participating in the actual process, I'm from the distance only, I'm just watching the members or the respondents, and based on that I'm going to collect the data. So that one is the non-participant. In the same way, interview can be a structured as well as unstructured. So structured interview, when you have the your items are ready with you, like whatever questions you are going to ask to the participants, so that is a structured one. And the unstructured one, when you have visited the area of your or the zone of your study, and by visiting there you have seen that these questions much be more relevant, or the participants are more friendly, so we can generate much more data. So let's start a rapport, friendly kind of rapport with them, and whatever comes in my mind which can actually help my research, so I'm going to ask those data. So that one is the unstructured. So for structured, you have a structured pattern of questionnaire which are going to be asked to the respondent, that you have already set it previously. And the unstructured one, when you have visited to the data collection zone, and by while staying there, or while like asking them, something came in your mind like I must ask this question also, though it's not included in my study, but for my sake of interest I want to ask them. So that one is the unstructured. Now we are coming to the questionnaire. Questionnaire can be collected in the group, like in a class. Like this is a class. Obviously, this is a class. Now I'm sharing one Google link, and in that Google link, you have a number of questions. So I have asked you to please respond those things. So that one will comes under the mail questionnaire, and the collective questionnaire. Collective questionnaire, I have set you in a group of members, with a group of members, and while sitting there you have just answered those things whatever it's been given in the questionnaire. So that one is the collective questionnaire. Mail questionnaire is generally a single one approach, like you are sending to the every individual. In that basis also, it can be an individual mail questionnaire. Even if you are sending the same mail questionnaire to a group, so that will become a mailed group questionnaire. And the collective questionnaire also, like when you are asking to the respondents in a group, please answer this questionnaire. So in that way, it's a collective one. And the non-collective one, or the individual one, when you are asking any single participant to answer those questionnaires. So the next slide. Okay, till here, any problem? If you have any problem, any query, you may ask. Okay, Now we are coming to the other form. Like, see, we have already seen the questionnaire, we have already done the interview, observation, document records. Document records actually come under the secondary sources. Focus group. Now, can you tell me what is this focus group? Anyone is having any idea about the focus group? Okay, I'm telling you, focus group is nothing from,
Important,
huh? Pardon, please.
important methods in order to focus on for a data analysis purpose.
No, I'm not dealing with the data analysis. I'm just asking what is this focus group? Focus group is nothing. Like from the terminology, we can say that focus means it's the main center of attraction. So focus means the group which are very much pertinent in my research. So I'm asking, I'm focusing on that group. Like if I'm conducting research on the tribal people, so my focus group will be the tribal respondent. Okay, if my focus group is on women, like I'm working on the women empowerment, so in that case the women, okay, the women will be my the focus group, the main respondents which are the center of attraction in my research. Now we are coming to the oral histories. Like there are many historical evidences for which we don't get evidences in the website or in the internet also. Now, in that case, we will visit to a person who are actually, we can say the witness of that evidences. And I'm just asking, please tell me the histories, what you have actually observed, the time when the incident actually happened. So in that way, oral histories also can help us in many ways when we are conducting the historical method research. For historical research, what we generally use this method, that is the oral histories method. Mostly we use oral histories, but there are also case studies are also there. So oral histories are nothing when the person is actually stating the full history about the incident where he or she was the witness of that incident. So that is the oral histories. Now the combination research. So combination research is nothing when we are using the qualitative as well as the quantitative research both together. So that is a mixed. Sometimes we call it a mixed research also, where we apply the triangulation method. So what is this triangulation? In mixed research only, we apply the triangulation method. So triangulation method is nothing. Once we are using the qualitative method, like first we have find out the articles, related histories related with the study, and after that based on those we are now interviewing the candidates. So here we are using both the qualitative as well as the quantitative one, or either vice versa. Like first we can use the quantitative one. Like first we have conducted the data collection procedure through observation or the interview, and after that, following that, we are now collecting the information from the different sources which actually supports my research. So that is a triangulation process. Now online tracking is another, nowadays when we are not getting the current type of data, so we can also track the data from the YouTube as well as from the Facebook also. Okay, people are haven't given any sort of evidences in the form of article. In that case, we can do this online tracking. Like if I want to know about the review of some kind of products, okay, so in that case, we can also use this process where we can see what the person's view regarding that particular product. So that is the online tracking. Okay, or even not only even for the product, even for the incidents also. Like in Kolkata, you are very much familiar that recently, like there was a um, rape case that has been done in a very brutally manner. So in that case, what are the people's views? So we want to track those things. So in that case, we can use the YouTube sources. We can also use the Facebook sources also. So in that case, through those, the reviews that we are getting in the YouTube. So based on those, we can use this online tracking methods through which we can actually generate the information. Now the online marketing analytics. So these are actually related with the commerce background. People are who are from the commerce background, where they actually do the marketing analysis based on the products, based on the services that has been, the pertinent issue in their study. So that is the online marketing analytics. And the social media monitoring, so that is also comes under the Facebook one. Just a second, just a second, just a second. So social media monitoring is like the information that we are also generating from the Facebook, Instagram. So that comes under the social media network. So the next slide. Now, the content. This is the very important part of the research. Why this is very important? Most of the time, whenever we, frame this questionnaire or the interview schedule, as well as, the structured questionnaire that I have already told you about the structured questionnaire. Now, what are the items which we are going to, include? What are the different kind of items which we are going to include in our questionnaire? So many of the times we are very much confused, like whether we should use this kind of question, this kind of statement for our research, or like what kind of items we must include in our study. Now, for that, we have to see our research questions as well as the research objectives as well as the hypothesis. So, based on those, we have to select the items for the tools that which we are actually using. If it is questionnaire, if it is a structured questionnaire, mostly we use the structured questionnaire. And even the in structured questionnaire, there are also open-ended or the
Slide
ended
is
questionnaire.
not visible, sir.
Pardon, please. Kanika Jana, did you say anything?
Ma'am, slide is not visible, ma'am.
For me, it is visible. Others, you can see the slide.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's some network
Yes,
issue.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Now, the content of the item is very important. Now, the content of the item is very important, like what kind of item we can actually use for our research. So, based on the research question, research objectives, research, the hypothesis, we have to select the content so that we can get the information as well as the result that must actually strike those statements. If not, then the information that we will get, that will not give a pertinent conclusion. That is actually the focus of our research. Now there are certain steps. First one is to determine your question. So while determining the question, we have to first see our objectives, hypothesis as well as the question. Next, the drafting of the items. So drafting of the items are nothing like when you are framing the items, how the question statement will be. So that is the drafting of the item. Now the sequencing the item. So sequencing the item means, are you going to share the PPT after this? That for that you have to ask, sir. I don't know. Sequencing the item means nothing. When you are, framing the item, that items have to be set in a logical manner. Okay. Okay. One of the person have raised hand. So do you have any question? Do you have any question?
No, ma'am, we just required this PPT after completion.
Okay, for that I have already told you have to ask sir. If sir want to share this PPT, obviously you can use it for your reference. Okay, sequencing the item. So sequencing the item is nothing but when you are framing the question in a logical manner. Like whenever we are setting the questionnaire, we have to use the general information at the first, following was the next important and the third important. Another way also we can, Jagdish, Giri, please switch off your microphone, please. Okay. The next thing that is very much important, we have to select the domain. Okay. Okay, domain is very important while selecting the items. Domain means like if you are conducting study, I'm taking the very easy example, like if you are conducting a study on women empowerment. Okay, now under this women empowerment, what are the domains generally we can use? If anybody can answer this question. See, women empowerment is very common topic. Okay. Now, under this women empowerment, I want to frame question related with the women empowerment. Now, what are the domains we can use under this women empowerment?
Financial status, working versus non-working,
Right.
social status.
Okay. Political decisions also come, like socially, politically, financially, as Manjula has stated. So these are the main domains. So these are the construct. Okay. As I was setting previously, that there are two concepts. One is the variable and the other one is the construct. So construct are the domain. So this is the concept. First, we have to find out the construct, like on which are the issues we want to focus our study. So first, we have to frame the construct. Based on those construct, we have to set the item. So that is a sequencing of the item. Most of the time what we do, we just frame a question, 10 to 20 questionnaire, whether it's related with our study, whether it's related with our objective, we don't care, but it's related with the concept, and based on that we just frame the items. But that is not the way. Whenever we are framing the items, we have to see whether those items are actually related with our questions, objectives, hypothesis, because our whole study, our whole investigation is dependent on this three issues, that is questions, research objectives, and the research hypothesis. If people are not using the hypothesis, then obviously the questions and the objectives. Okay, now designing the questionnaire. So whether you want to frame the questions on the basis of 20 items, 25 items, so based on that, your designing will be like that. And the designing will be the close-ended or the open-ended. So that will be decided by the researcher. Now we have to do the pilot testing of the questionnaire. Now, what is this pilot testing? Pilot testing is nothing. Pilot testing, we can say, like as we have drafted the questions, now whether my questions are actually suitable for my study or not, who are going to test that? Have you heard this term, pilot test? Anyone? Manjula?
For any invention, do that pilot testing, whether it works or not,
Okay. Anyone?
in order to understand its validation and accuracy.
Okay. Anyone? If you want to add something with Manjula? Okay. Pilot testing, as she has stated, whether my questionnaire, actually the drafting of the questionnaire is okay or not, whether my whatever items that we have selected, that is, that is actually focusing towards my objectives or not. So for that only we conduct the pilot testing. Okay. Now in pilot testing, most of the candidates, or we can say the most of the people make a mistake related with this pilot testing, that is they apply the pilot testing on the sample which they are actually showing as a representative of their study. But when we will do our pilot testing, we have to apply this pilot testing on the people who are actually not part of our study. Understood? Whenever we are using this pilot testing, we have to select certain number of sample who are actually not part of our study. And when after applying this pilot testing, the discrimination value or the differences value, whatever we want to find, whatever calculation we want to find, if those are actually satisfying my dimension or those are satisfying my assumption, if all are okay, then we will apply it on the main sample. Now, if we are applying the same test on the same sample twice, then he or she will be very much aware with the questionnaire. So that's why when we are conducting the pilot testing, we must be very much sure that we are applying on those sample or those on those representatives who are actually not the part of our study. Okay. Now we will apply when all this, the pilot testing questionnaire are all being set, all being the validations has been done, reliability has been done. Okay. Now after that, when it's been confirmed, after that we will apply it on sample, the sample that we have selected for our study. Okay. Now, applying it on the sample, we will generate or we will collect the data, and based on the data collection, we will start with our analysis. Clear? Any question till now? Okay, so next slide. So these are again the stages that we have come through till now. That is clarify the construct that I have already told. That first we have to select the domain, then we have to select the item pool. Item pool is nothing, the drafting of the items, the question that we have selected. Now select a measurement format, like in which measure, whether it will be a 5-point scale, 7-point scale. So we have to select that one. Review the item pool by expert. So review of the item pool by expert. It's nothing but it's a validation. It's a phase validation, or we can say it's a content validation. Okay, validity of the research. Validity of the research is nothing but the purpose for which we are using the questionnaire, that purpose must be served by by applying this questionnaire. That purpose need to be served. Like if you are using questionnaire for intelligence test and you are getting a result of personality test, that means the purpose for which you have framed the questionnaire, you are not actually serving those purpose. So that purpose need to be served. For that only we have to do face validation. Face validation is nothing, while looking at the questionnaire, when you can become assured that yes, these questions are very much related with this study. So that is a face validation. Like when we are seeing the person face, and from seeing the person face, we state like this person will be very much angry, this person will be very much friendly. So from that only, when we have a first mind, we have a first mind set up, okay, this person is very friendly. So that is a face validation. And content validity is nothing. Content validity is when you are going through the content of the item, whether those items are actually related with the study or not. So that is a content validity. So these are the two basic things. We generally confirm it with the help of expert. Okay, so we need to confirm this, whether our items are actually serving our investigation or not. So that's why we do the review of the item pool. Next, we will do the validation. Now, there are certain processes of validation. We will come to those portion. Now, after that, after the validation is being done, the final questionnaire has been set. Now, we will apply the set on the initial sample. Okay, initial sample is the pilot testing sample, the sample that we have selected for our pilot testing. And after that, the results that we are getting, we are going to evaluate the result, like how many items has been accepted, how many items are being rejected, and it's not fulfilling our the parameters that we have set. So in that way we will do the evaluation, and after that we will optimize the scale, like we are giving the final touch up to the scale. Okay, next. Till here, any question? Anybody?
No, ma'am.
Okay, if anybody is having with, like many of us have a little bit problem with English and all. So if you have any problem like this portion you haven't understood, if you want that I should explain that portion in Hindi, so that is also quite okay with me. Okay, now we are coming to the questionnaire on the attitude towards testing something. Like I have given some of the name, like I'm setting the questionnaire for the attitude scale. So for testing the attitude of a person, we will use the Likert scale. Have you heard the name Likert scale? Have you heard the name Likert scale? Anyone? Any one of you? Any of one of you have heard about the Likert scale? So Likert scale is nothing. There is a person whose name is Likert who actually invented this scale. This is generally used for the questionnaire to find out the opinion or the attitude or the perception of the person. Okay, so that is a Likert scale. Now, now in this Likert scale, we will use those kind of statements which are actually, focusing our objectives and our, the research question. And this scale in two way, like we can use the 5-point Likert scale or the 7-point Likert scale. So 5-point Likert scale is nothing but, see here it's been given dimension, different first one is the strongly agree, then is the neutral, then the disagree. So this is the 5-point. If you want to give more, what should I say, more, the additional dimension to it, so you can use the 7-point Likert scale. 7-point is nothing, like when we are using this scale with little bit of modification, like more strongly agree, then agree. So this way the dimension will be increased. So that is a 7-point scale. It can be 10-point also. Okay, so it can be 10-point also, it can be 7-point also, it can be 5-point. But when we are using 3-point scale is like that, yes, no, not decided. So that scale. So based on these dimensions, we will frame our next slide. Now the general perception of the semester system. So perception means attitude. Now we are framing the questions based on the attitude towards the semester system. What are the attitude towards this semester system that has been introduced in the college? So I have set some kind of questionnaires over here. So section 1 or the section A. So under section A there are 3 questions. Section B there are, 3 questions. So in this way, these are the constructs. See, section B, assessment and examination. So as I have told, these are the construct, and based on this construct, items are being framed. See, this section C is related with impact on student development and career. So items are being framed based on this construct. So whenever you are framing the questionnaire, you should frame questionnaire based on the construct. First, you have to set the construct, and based on those construct, you will frame your items. Okay. Next one. Now, how to conduct a pilot testing in research? As this is a data collection class, okay, the session that I'm taking that is related with the data collection. So obviously, we need to see how this pilot study is being systematically conducted. So pilot study is nothing, it's a small scale trial, whether our, the framed items are going with our research objectives or not, whether it's been giving the results that we want to see. So whether each and every parameters are okay or not, for that only we do the pilot testing. So pilot testing we generally do for the questionnaire or the tools that we are using, for that only we use the pilot testing. Now there are certain steps of conducting this pilot testing. Obviously define the objectives. So based on our research objective, we will select the sample. Now for selecting the sample, it's not like that. Like I have thought in my mind, like let's take 50 sample, let's take 100 sample, let's take 150 sample. So this is not the way of selecting the accurate number of sample. It should be based on your population, like how much population you're having. So based on your population, you have to select your sample. Okay, so randomly we generally select the sample. That is not the proper way of selecting a sample. There are certain formulas are there, or formulae we can say are there. Based on those formulae we have to calculate, and on based on that we have to select the sample. Otherwise, the sample which we are selecting, that may not generalize our study. Okay, the sample which we are selecting, like as I have told you, ki like I have thought in my mind, I will select 150 sample. But that 150 sample is not generalizing your study. Generalizing means, have you come across this term generalization or generalizing? Anyone? Anyone who is having any idea about this generalization? Generalization is nothing when you are, you have framed something, and whether that framing or testing is being applied on whole population, okay, or not, you want to see that. So that is a generalization. Like I have conducted an attitude test. Now for that I have selected 150 sample. Now through this 150 sample, if I want to know the review about the semester system, that is not sufficient sample, because 150 sample is very less. And in each and every college, you are having a semester. So 150 sample is like, you can say it's a like a not even 1% or like 0.5%, we can say. So through this 0.5% responses that you are getting from the respondents, that results or that information is not sufficient for your study. So that is being a generalization. So when you take, like you have 1 lakh population, okay, 1 lakh population, suppose, and for those 1 lakh population, you are taking something around 1,500 sample. So now you are justifying with your population. Okay, so in that basis, you have to select the sample. Okay, next we are coming to administer the research instrument. Now we have to administer. Who is this? Sorunima, please switch off your mic. Okay, next one is the administer the research instrument. Now we will apply our research instrument. That is the tool that we have selected for our study. After that, we will use the palette testing. Now, doing this palette testing, why we are doing the palette testing? We want to see the reliability as well as the validity of the test. So this is a very mandatory when you are writing, for your chapter 3. So there should be a column, there should be, the segment which actually relate with the reliability and validity of the test, because you are using the scale, whether that scale is being standardized or not. So that is very much mandatory. So you should use the reliability and validity, the values. Next, based on this palette testing, the values that you are getting, so you can modify your tool. You want to modify some of the items, you want to eliminate some of the items, so you can do that. And after that, if you want to again retest it, again you can apply those things on the second sample or the second palette test. If you want to apply, you can apply that. Next slide, please, sir. Okay, how to conduct the reliability? Okay, so Cronbach alpha is the most common one. So through applying this Cronbach alpha, now what is this reliability? First, let me see whether you have any idea about this reliability. I know most of the people have idea, and if not, that is not something wrong. So we are here to learn something only. So what is this reliability? Any idea? Sandeep Kumar, Uttam Sarkar, Manjula, if
Can
anybody.
you explain with programming concept reliability?
Programming concept.
Yeah,
If we
reliability
get the
means
result consistently.
Consistency. Okay. No, it's not a programming concept. It's a consistency. It's related with the consistency. Now, what is this consistency? Like, if I'm relying on that person consistently in each and every situation, if that person helped me, so I'm very much dependent. I'm very much dependent on that person. So I can say that person is reliable. Like each and every time when I'm asking help from that person, so that on that every situation, that person have actually helped me in the same way. Okay, so we can say that person is reliable. Now, reliability is like that consistency. When you are getting the same result with the same tool in the same situation, when you are applying the tool in the same situation and you are getting consistently the same result, so that is a reliability. Understood what is the term reliability means? Reliability is nothing when you are getting the same result 100 times you will apply, but the situation and the factors that you are applying the scale, that situations and factors have to be same. If it is not same, then you will get a inconsistent result. That means the results can vary. Obviously the results will vary. Okay, so that is a reliability. Now Cronbach alpha is the most popular method that we use for the reliability of the test, and there is a manual calculation, but we are not going for the manual calculation as because we will do everything with the help of SPSS. So we are not going to the manual calculation. Now these are the parameters, like which one is the excellent reliability, good, acceptable, okay, questionable. So when it comes in 0.60, whether we should accept those items or not, that becomes a questionable. Okay, and below 6.0 we are not considering those items, we have to eliminate those items, and if we want we can frame the new one, or we can like after eliminating whatever items are left, we can also conduct your investigation or the data collection procedure with that only. But that item has to be a sufficient number. It's not like only with 10 items or 15 items you are working with for your the thesis. That is not a sufficient. Okay, next one. So the next one. Okay. If Cronbach alpha is below 6.0, so what we should do? So remove the problematic items. So the when we have tested with the help of SPSS and we have found that the value of Cronbach alpha is below 6.0, okay, then we have to remove those items. Ensure questions are measuring the same construct. Okay, when we are measuring the construct and we have seen that the item is actually not matching with the construct, then obviously we have to avoid those items. Standardized response option, use consistent Likert scale. Like one time I'm using the 5 point, again I'm using the 7 point. So it can't happen like that way. So there should be consistency. Whenever we are using any sort of test or the any sort of tool, and for the Likert scale also, the dimension has to be the same. For different construct, we can't use the different dimension. For the whole test, we have to use the same dimension. If it is 5 point, then it's 5 point. If it's 7 point, then it is 7 point. Then increase the number of items to improve the consistency. As I already told you, like if you are conducting your research with the help of 15 items and you have taken 500 samples or 400 samples, that is not sufficient enough for your study. It should be minimum 25 to 30 items has to be there. Okay, first you have to frame minimum 40 items. Okay, based on those 40 items, some of the items will be eliminated, so it will come to around 30. Okay, if not 30, 35. So that is the standard one for your tool. And if it is below that, like below like 25 or 20, so that is not a standardized, or we can say that is not a standard tool. Next, how to assess the validity of the items in a questionnaire. As I have told that there are, now we are coming, what is this validity? Did I explain you what is this validity? Anyone? So reliability we are using for the consistency so that we can get the same result each and every time. When the situations are same, we are getting the same one. But when we are coming to the validity, it must serve the purpose for which we have framed the scale. As I have already told, I have already told you, like if we are framing the questions for the intelligence test, but the test items are actually measuring the, the personality of the person, it's not serving your purpose. So that is a validity. So validity must measure the purpose for which the test has been constructed. So that is the validity. Now there are different methods, as I have told already. Face validity. Face validity is nothing but when by seeing the items, in a open way, okay, in a open way, not in a minutely when you are not seeing, but in a open way when you are seeing the items and you are saying, you are getting an idea, yes, this, these items are very much related with my study. So that is a face validity. Now, after doing the face validity, now ask expert whether items look appropriate or not. So after framing this item, anyone is having any questions? Okay. After framing this, the items, now we have to do a little bit of expert validation. So expert validation is nothing. You have to take this questionnaire to the expert who are actually relevant, who are related with your field. Okay. And you will ask them to validate those, the tool that you are using. Like validate means is nothing. They will just check whether your items are actually related with your research activity or not. So that is a validation. Now, after that, you will do the pilot testing. So when your validation is being done with the help of expert, it can be a intra validation. Intra validation is nothing when you are going to 3 4 expert, like you can't rely on one doctor for operation, you have to visit 2 3 doctors. So now the doctors will tell you whether you should go for operation, or like you can use the medicine through which you can be get, you can become a cure person also. So, okay, so that is like that. So for expert validation we must visit at least 3 experts to check whether your tools is actually ready to use or not. Then after that, you will conduct a pilot test, and after conducting the pilot test, whatever items which are not serving your purpose, or whatever items which are not actually matching with your construct, you have to eliminate those items. Next. Okay, now this is the very important step. In most of the research book, you won't find this. Not audible. Sir, I'm not audible. Manjula, I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
madam. Audible. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Uh,
Audible.
okay. Now we are coming to the item analysis part. So this is the very important part, because till now whatever we have done, those things are very easy, and in most of the sessions, whether it's related with seminar conferences, most of the session people are dealing with this thing, like you have to do this, you have to now we will come how we will do
Who is there? Please switch off your mic. Rajmeet, please remove that person. Sunena Kalgudi. Rajmeet, remove Sunena Kalgudi.
okay. So the slide is not
Sorry for disturbance to all of you.
okay. Now we are coming to the previous one. Yeah. No, so the previous one. Item analysis. So item analysis is one of the important thing. As I have told that whichever item which are not serving our purpose, or the items which are not related with our domains, so we must eliminate those items. Now, how we are going to eliminate? First, we have told you that from the expert validation. Now, after doing the expert validation also, we have to do the item analysis. Now, this item analysis is being done after the pilot testing. Okay, after you have done the pilot testing, now you have to do the item analysis. So item analysis involve two processes. Yes, just a second. First one is the item difficulty. You have to find out the item difficulty and the discrimination analysis. And the second one is the reliability analysis. So reliability analysis, I have already told you. Okay, reliability analysis, I have already told you. Just a second.
Akhilesh,
Huh. Reliability analysis, I have already told you. Now, Uh, so the slide is not fully visible, sir. Full screen is not showing, sir. Yeah, now it's okay. Now, item difficulty. We have to find out the item difficulty. Now, how we will find the item difficulty? When you have, circulated that pool study questionnaire. Okay, for pool study, when you have circulated the questionnaire, after receiving those responses from the pilot testing, you have to check. Okay, you have to check whether those things are actually being done correctly or not. So based on, like, if you have applied the achievement test. Okay, now achievement test is nothing but when you are conducting any research that is related with the subject related. Now you want to test whether that uh, in that subject whether the person is good or not. So on the basis of that you have framed the questions. So based on those questions you have to check whether how many people have answered it correctly. Again I'm saying, like, if the thesis title or the research title is like that, um, impact of social media on the academic achievement of students in geography. Okay, if this is the title, due to social media, okay, due to social media, impact of social media, how it is being affecting your study in geography. Now what you will do, you will frame a questionnaire that is related with geography. Now related with geography, whatever questions that is being related with the standard that you have selected. Now, based on those questions that you have circulated and the answers that you have received, you have to find out the item difficulty. Item difficulty is nothing but the number of students that has been correctly responded those items and the person who have wrongly responded those items. So item, for finding out the item difficulty, you have to use the formula measures how easy or difficult an item is. To measure whether the items are easy or difficult, for that you have to find out how many of the people have given the correct responses based on that questionnaire. Out of 50 students, how many of them have given the correct responses? Now, how many of them have given the wrong responses? So you have to find out that. And the results that you are getting, like if 30 out of 50 students have corrected answered correctly, then 30 divided by 50 and whatever value you are getting, so that is the item difficulty. Understood? Again I'm saying, this item difficulty we generally do for the questionnaire. Okay, like if you want to find out the achievement test related questionnaire, then in that case you will frame a question that is related with your study, that is related with your geography subject or the math subject. Okay, so in math subject you want to conduct study on class 7 or class 8 students. Now based on those standards you will frame the item and you will circulate the questionnaire to the students, and the answers that you are getting, from those answers you have to find out the item difficulty. Item difficulty is nothing but when you want to see whether the questions that you have framed, that questions are actually easy or difficult and how many people have answered it correctly. So for finding out the item difficulty, what you will do, like first you have to find out the how many of students have answered correctly. Like there are 50 students and out of 50 students 30 of them have answered correctly, and you will divide 30 divided by 50 and the answers that you are getting, that is 0.60. So that is the value of your item difficulty. Okay, Muhammad Shahjahan Ansari Manjula, you want to ask something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm having it down. If it is based on the questions are based on Likert scale, which are based on opinion or again beliefs, perceptions. So how can we identify this whether they are correct or not?
Okay. When you are, see, this is related with questionnaire. This is not related with the Likert scale. First of all, when we are doing the method for collecting data, I have shown you numerous kind of tools. So this one is related with achievement test questionnaire. This is not related with your Likert scale. because for Likert scale you are using the 5 dimension or the 7 dimension or the 7 point scale you are using. But when I have started with the questionnaire item, for questionnaire item which are related with subject, for that only you will find out the item difficulty and as well as the discrimination value. But when we are going for the attitude scale, for attitude scale we don't find out the item difficulty. Understood?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
could you please explain this slide from a science student point of view, where they take the data from experimentation and all?
Okay. For science students also, if you want to, test something on students, okay, if you want to test something on students that is related with their academics, okay, that is related with
Ma'am, I just want to, as for example, I am a science student or research scholar, and I am doing a research
hmm,
where I conduct an experiment and collect 50 odd data. I have to
hmm,
collect a 50 odd data. Out of 30 are in my range,
hmm,
and some of data are the moving out of the range as per the tolerance I had given in my experimentation.
hmm.
So on the basis of that, how we can calculate the p value or the difficulty of item in terms of the error terms, because the
So
same test is applicable over there as well, right?
no,
Statistically.
yes, as I have already told sir that this questionnaire, when you are framing the question related with your academics, again I'm saying when you are related, when this questionnaire item is related with your academics, then you only you can use this item difficulty. But when you want to test the tolerance level or what, for that you can't use this item difficulty. For each type of questionnaire you have separate method to test or to standardize the the items. So when something is that is related with your academics, like if I want to know the achievement of a student on particular subject, for that only we can use this item difficulty. As because which are the easy item, which are the difficult item, that is only related with the academics. But when you are going for the attitude scale or the perception, and so as you have told that whether the machines are working or not based on that tolerance, because I'm not from a science background, okay, so if you want to test that, for that this item difficulty will not work. So based on your research tool, you have to standardize the thing. We will come to the attitude scale only, because for attitude scale we can't standardize it with the help of item difficulty or the discrimination analysis. Is it
Okay,
clear?
ma'am. Yeah, okay, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. Again, I'm saying if you're having any confusion studying with this part, if your thesis title or the research title is related with your academic part, like when you want to see whether the person is good in that subject or not, or whether due to social media it's hampering your the achievement on that particular subject, if you want to test that, for that only we can use this item difficulty part. But when you are using for the attitude, perception, Likert type scale, that is not applicable for this type. Clear? People who are coming from the education background, I have seen many of us, we are conducting study on achievement test. Okay, for that achievement test, we have to frame a questionnaire that is related with item difficulty, and after that, we have to analyze the item with the help of item difficulty. That is how many of them have answered it correctly, because you are asking question that is related with your subject. Like if you have mathematics anxiety, okay, and you want to see whether this anxiety level is high or low in the psychology portion, okay, in that case you can ask this, or you can apply this item difficulty part. But when you are doing with something with attitude, perception of a person related with some services, you can apply this item, because this is only related with the academics or the achievement part. Understood? Okay. Next, after item difficulty, we have to find out the discrimination part also. Okay. Now see, if we are getting a result based on like 0.80, okay, less than 0.80, then to easy revise or move. So we have to move those items. Again, when it is 0.20, then also it's very confusing. We have to remove it. That means the items which are ranging from zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.7, we will keep those items, and the one which are not, ranging within beyond this range, we have to eliminate those items. I have shown just one of the example, as I was saying, like how you will eliminate, how will you, retain the item. So this is one of the type. In this way, we have to retain the item or we can eliminate the item. When you are conducting achievement test related, questionnaire, for that you have to find out the item difficulty and the results that you are getting. Based on those results, okay, you can keep the items as well as you can eliminate the item. Like the items which are too easy, we have to eliminate it, and the items which are too hard, we have to eliminate those. So ranging from zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.7, we will keep only those items. So this way we can eliminate or we can retain the items, not on the basis of the wish of the, the expert, or not on the basis of the wish of your own. Next slide. Now, after finding out the item difficulty, we have to find out the item discrimination. So this is also related with the achievement test questionnaire. It is not related with attitude scale. For attitude scale, again I'm saying you have to apply different standardized method. For different scales, you have different standardized method. We can't use the same standardized method for each and every scale. No, it's not like that. So for item discrimination also, what we have to do, we have to see who are the highest performer and who are the lowest performer. So we have to select top 27% respondent and the bottom 27% respondent based on the total group. Okay. And again, what we have to do, again, we have to divide it in that way, the way we have already shown in the item difficulty. And again, the results which we are getting, like 0.40, which are excellent, 0.20 to 0.39, which are acceptable, and 0.19, which are poor item, we have to eliminate. So this is the way we have to eliminate, we have to keep the item. So D is nothing, D is the discrimination, U is the upper one, upper performer, and the lower performer divided by the number of respondents. See here, it's all example is being given. So like 12 out of 15, 12% have answered it correctly. Top, the top 12 students, and we have to divide it. Okay, 12 by 15. Again, the lowest one, 5 by 15. And this way, we will calculate the item discrimination. Here, next one. Next slide, sir. Now, we are coming to the attitude scale standardization. So that one was related with the achievement scale. Now we are coming for the attitude scale, the one which is actually related with the Likert one. Okay, the one which is actually related with the Likert one. So in the Likert scale also, the attitude scale item analysis typically involve t-test. So based on t-test value, we will accept as well as reject the item. Understood? In the attitude scale, when we are conducting, that is related with the attitude scale, that is related with um, perception related scale. Okay, so in this sort of scale, what we have to do, we have to apply the t test, and based on the t test, high scorer as well as the low scorer, we will, retain some of the item, and as well as we will eliminate it. Like we have to split the respondent into two groups, upper 27% and the lower 27%. Upper 27% means high attitude. That means they are having a positive attitude towards that services or towards that product. And the lower 27% is mean they are having a negative attitude. So based on that, we have to see the data information, and like if person is stating only disagree, 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 that means the person is having a negative attitude. Okay, like if we are having a positive statement, and in those positive statement, if person is actually responding disagree, strongly disagree, that means the person is having a negative, attitude. So based on this high attitude and low attitude, we have to find out the mean of high group and as well as the low group. Okay, so we have to compute the mean score for each group, and based on this mean score, so next slide, based on this mean score, we will retain the sum of the respondents and we will exclude. But in attitude scale, we generally don't retain those person. We actually keep those person. And what we do, we just go for the t-test that we will done with the help of SPSS. And through that SPSS method, we will apply the t-test, and with the help of t-test, we will find out the high group and low group variable, and we will see the value they are getting. So based on that, we will accept and read. Like the person who's having higher score, like the person who have scored 0.60. Okay, so we will keep those respondents, and the person who have actually scored below 0.60, t value is 0.60. I'm not stating the person's attitude. I'm stating when the t value is below 0.60, we will eliminate those items, and the person who have responded or scored, who have scored above 0.60, 60 and point above 0.60, we will keep those items. So in this way, we will do the attitude scale. For the standardization of the attitude scale, we will apply the t value. So based on the t value, that is the margin 0.60. So person who are getting below 0.60, we will eliminate those items, and the person who have actually scored above 60, 60 and above, we will retain those items. So based on this value, we will do the we will keep the the items, or either we will eliminate those items. Understood? Any confusion till here? Answer, as you have asked for the science students, like the tolerance. So for tolerance value, when we want to find the tolerance value, for that we have to apply the higher statistical method. Like we can go for the logistic regression. Okay, so based on those logistic regression, the validity value that we are getting, so based on those, we will retain the item as well as we can exclude the item, because it's depend upon your test. As I have told, like based on your objectives, you have to select the test. Okay, so based on those results, we will retain, or we will, anybody is having any question? Okay, we will retain the item, we will exclude the item. For the science students, you go for the the Python and all, Python testing and all. So through those Python testing, the validity result that you are getting, or the reliability value that you are getting, so based on reliability and validity value, you can retain the item, you can exclude the item. Like if you are getting a reliability value is below 0.30, below 0.40, even below 0.50, also below 0.50 is okay, but when you are getting is below 0.40, then we will exclude those items. And when you are getting like beyond 0.60, then it's okay. Again, if you are getting a value 0.90 also, that is also not suitable for your study, because the more you will find the reliability values high, the more correlation you will find between the variables. So that is also not applicable. So people who are conducting, that is experimental research or the survey based research, who is not related with your attitude study, then in that case,
सर के
based
प्लस
on reliability and validity value, you can
नहीं
select
दिखा सकता,
as
वो
well
मैं
as
स्क्रीन में ही शेयर कर
the items. Okay, clear? Any confusion till now? So next slide. Okay, so these are the part that is related with the sampling, because after pilot testing, we will go for the sampling part. So these are very much theoretical. Why we conduct sampling? Because it's actually reduce cost, because we can apply the whole data on the whole population. So for that only, we need to reduce the cost. We get a greater result, and even we can say that the intensive and in-depth data we can get. But many times what happen, we are the researcher, we always have a some ifs and buts. So many times we are bounded with the biasness. If as a researcher we must keep ourselves unbiased, but for getting a good result we want that my study should get this result, so that's why we become a biased. So we need to choose a truly representative. Specialized knowledge is needed for conducting the sampling. Otherwise, I have told, if you have a thought in your mind that I will take 550 sample, that is enough for my study, but that is not the way. So you should have a specialized knowledge of statistics, obviously the knowledge of research, through which you will select or determine the good sample. Next slide. Okay. For determination of the sample, so this is the the manual calculation. This is the manual calculation that we can use for determining the sample. So P is nothing. P is the the standard deviation. N is the population. So based on this formula, we can find out the sample size. Apart from that, if you don't want to go this manual calculation, there is one table. Tomorrow I will show you the table. Through that table also you can determine the sample size. Like if you are having a 1 lakh population, so based on those 1 lakh population, how much we should your sample. So based on that also you can do. Otherwise, you also have one way, that is a online sample calculation. So you Google it with the help of sample determination. So there you have to put the mean value. Okay. And by putting the mean value, what the sample number of the respondents are there, you will get a sample size, accurate sample. So there is an online way also, that is a free online method. So you can apply that one also. Either you can use this manual calculation method, or you can go with the help of table method. The table that I will already tomorrow I will display you. With the help of that, you can also do. That is the most easiest way, I can say. So you will see how much population you are having, and based on those population, how much sample you should take. So that is the way you can do, and the other one is the online methods. Next one. Okay. While choosing the sample, sampling error can happen. Like why this sampling error are actually takes place because of the poor sampling method, questioning. If you're having a problem with your questionnaire, and the respondents which you want to select, those respondents are
Excuse
actually not
some
reliable.
noise are coming, madam.
So for that also, sampling error can take place. Next one. Okay. Sampling error, these are the reasons for which you can get a sampling error. As I have told, that biasness, if you're having a biased attitude, for that also you can get a sample error. Self selection, if you have selected not the right method, for that also you can get a sample bias. Next, the behavioral consideration, like your behavior, like the incidents have already taken place and you have seen the evidence, or the scene that are actually taken place. So in that case also, behavioral consideration is one of the factor. Next, interviewer effects. So interviewer effects is nothing. This is a halo effect. Like I want my result should be like this, so that's why I've selected this particular sample. So in that case also it can happen. Transfer of findings. So when you are transfer one finding to the another finding, like the results that you have got, you have seen in the previous finding, and you want the same finding in your study, and based on that, when you are manipulating your samples, in that case also you can get a sample error. Next one. So this is a definition why sampling error takes place, or what is the sampling error. So when an analyst doesn't select sample that represent the entire population, as I have told, when you are having a generalization problem, like 150 sample you have selected, but that is not actually portraying your whole population, in that case, sampler error can take place. Or we can say based on the number of observation, like you have taken a wrong observation also, in that case also, the sampling error can take place. The next one. And this is the way you can calculate the sample error, but this is not a mandatory. If you want to do, you can do. If not, then it's fine. Okay. Next one. See here how to calculate the sample error. Like you have to find out the Z score. Z score for through sample test, we know that 1.96 population standard deviation. This value you will get through with the help of SPSS. Don't worry, you will get all this value with the help of SPSS. This value is, you know, the stable or the stagnant one. 1.96 is stagnant one, but the ST value or the sample size, so you will decide. But the standard deviation value you will get with the help of SPSS. So you have to frame the formula, or you have to put the values in the formula, and you will get the result of sampling, like how much sample error is being taking place. But again, I'm saying it's not mandatory. Next one. While conducting the research, two type of error. This is the last one we will do. While conducting the research, two types of error are very much common while collecting the data as well as when you are standardizing the data. So first one is the type 1 error and the second one is the type 2 error. Next slide. Now I will explain what is this type 1 and type 2 error. So next slide. So type 1 error is nothing when null hypothesis that is actually true is rejected because based on the sample data. That means, see here its example is given. In a clinical trial testing a new drug, a type 1 error would be concluding that the drug is effective when it actually has no effect on the patient condition. That means you have given the drug and the drug is not actually functioning properly on the patient's body, but still you are saying the drug is good. So that is a type 1 error.
Hello, please,
Okay, so that is a
madam,
type 1
excuse me.
error. Okay, you
So
want to
noise
ask
is
Praveen, do you want to ask something?
Madam, can you
no,
advise
madam.
all the people to mute because there is some disturbance?
The people
Pankaj
are
sir,
discussing something.
Network problem.
Why they are not discussing?
so everybody is unmuted. So please mute them.
This session will be open at the last for discussion. If you have any questions, please prepare your question. You can ask at the end of today's session. It is not too longer. We are just going to finish very soon. Okay.
Okay,
So whatsoever the question you may ask at the end when the ma'am will finish, you will ask the questions. Ma'am, you please continue.
okay. So type 1 error actually takes place, as I've told, when the drug is not actually working, but still the researcher is saying no, the drug is working. So that one is a type 1 error. So it's a false positive. We also call it as a false positive. So the next slide. Type 2 error is just the opposite. See, first you see the example. In a medical test for a disease, a type 2 error would be failing to diagnose a patient with a disease when they actually have it. That means here what happened here, the null hypothesis is false, is not rejected based on the sample data and leading to the incorrect conclusion. Okay, when you are leading to the incorrect conclusion and the null hypothesis that you have framed that is false. So that is a type 2 error. So in the type 1 error, what we did, type 1 error, we are saying that the drug is cool and the drug is actually working for the patient, but that is not. In the type 2 error is just the opposite. If we frame that example here, that means the drug is actually good, okay, but the patient, it's working on the patient, but still I'm saying the drug is not working. So it's just the opposite one. So that is a type 2 error. So this actually takes place when we are conducting a deep investigation. So these errors are very much common. So we should be very much aware about this error, because when this error actually comes in our research, it gives a wrong interpretation in our study. Next one. So like these are the definitions or the examples that has been again given. So if you want to explain me it again, so I can go. Otherwise, sir, how many slides are there? It's almost it's time. I
We are
think
on the last slide, 21.
last one. Okay, if you have any questions, you may ask. If you
Here
don't,
Madam,
also session is open. Do you have any type of queries regarding today's sessions, whether it is the sampling, whether it is on the types of error? You can please ask.
yeah, madam, I have one small question regarding the rejection of sample. Whether in the standard deviation, if you include the wrong sample, then it shows the mean average as different. So, is there any provision to reject the sample and remove from the database of sampling?
see, there is no wrong sample. There can be a sample error. Okay. Sample, when you are selecting a sample, those sample are obviously the representative of your population. So how can a sample can be a wrong? Samples are good. Okay. Like for science, I don't know, because for science you have to select the good sample one. Otherwise, I'm giving one example. Like if you have select one respondent, okay, the time when you have selected the respondent, that respondent is physically fit. But when in the time of the investigation, when you are conducting the deep investigation, in that time the person become ill. So in that case, you have to replace it when you are generating the information. In that way, we can do. Okay, because when we have select that person who is not physically fit, who is not actually feeling good, when you are conducting investigation on that person, the responses that you will get, that responses are not the good responses that you are getting, because for your study you will generate the good data, good information, which will actually it will help in your study. So in that case, you can replace those sample when you are selecting. And another thing is that you can go for the data cleaning process, like in the normal curve. Okay, in the normal curve, what we see in the normal curve, if the data are not normal, we have to reject the abnormal data. Like in a class, we see that most of the students are average. But when you are selecting the data who are exclusively good or who are exclusively bad, so we will deal most of the students with the average students. But when we have selected this, the exclusively good as well as the exclusively bad, the performer, then it can affect your study. In that case, you have to do a data cleaning. You have to bring the good data, which should not create a great impact on your study. So that we can do. And as you have stated, that's for sample. So sample, so you are selecting. So you will see whether that sample is a good representative of your study or not. So in basis of that. Any more questions? So is it okay? Venu Gopal sir?
Yeah, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay.
Uh,
Yes, Neha, you want to ask something? You can open your mic and camera. You can ask. Yeah, Miss Neha. Okay. Mr. Vijay Babu, you already you raised your hand. Do you have any question?
Sir Praveen has also raised his hand, I think.
Yeah, Mr. Praveen, do you have question, please?
No, madam. Yes, we can understand. But according to what you have said, alpha 1 and alpha 2, errors 1, error 1, in that I have to understand my already in Python, I'm executing some of the algorithm. So I can understand very clearly of these errors, madam. Thank you very much for that.
Okay.
Thank you, Praveen ji. Yeah, Vijay
Thank
ji,
you,
do
sir.
you have question? Vijay Babu, Mr. Vijay Babu, you raise your hand. Do you have question?
Uh,
Okay, anybody from the Group have any type of questions regarded to today's class? Yeah, Venugopalji, you are on mute.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pankaj. Madam, one small question I want to ask here. In the selection of question in the samples, yes, we clearly understand the standard deviation and bad samples and good samples. And I want to introduce one term called regression analysis. So, in the regression analysis, to what extent we can go, madam? For example, if I tell the more specifically zero point 0.8 to zero point 0.1, generally we take regression analysis, which is developed in the Excel sheet directly. Can you please demonstrate with a set of data if time permits? Maybe tomorrow also it's okay.
Tomorrow we are having a spaces session, so we will go only with the, because in regression you have various kind of regression like the logistic regression and
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But tomorrow we will go with the simple regression only because of the capacity of the time. Okay,
Oh,
and there I will demonstrate with the help of SPSS because I'm not doing with the help of Excel. So with the help of SPSS only, I will
okay.
show you the table and I will show you how to interpret your result so that you can conclude your the study in a very
Yeah,
proper.
no problem. More specifically, what I want to tell Dr. Pankaj here
Yeah.
to Madam, for example, I'm conducting some, I belong to a subject called civil engineering, and it doesn't matter whether samples, in the case of samples, it is civil engineering or science or whatever it may be. But what happens is when we test in the laboratory, most of the samples, because of quality issues, they fail, and we tell professor that these samples are not valid. We need to give the clear analysis for that particular type of failures. So in that case, when I plot the regressive analysis, fair enough, whatever the tool you say, we keep the bracket like zero point 0.8 to zero point 0.9 in that range. If it falls in that range, then yes, professor and everybody accepts the ideal cause. That is why the reason I asked to demonstrate with certain data, whether it is school students, whether it is progress card, whether it is science, related to any type of data set of samples. So when we see the sample 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we will see the variation in the samples so that we can catch what is what in that particular thing.
One more thing I want to tell you, like, see, for science, what happened? We take of whatever test we just conduct, we test it at the level of 1%. But for the social science, what happened? We test it on the level of 5%. Okay, so there is a variation. So, like as you have stated, your professor have told like zero point 0.8 is the good enough. If it is not zero point 0.8, then you have to reject it or we have to eliminate those things or that the results that you are getting is not sufficient. But the social science, what happened? Zero point 0.5, we can till zero point 0.5, it's okay. So zero point 0.7, if we are getting a regression value, R square is like 0 0.7, 0 0.6, even zero point 0.6, that is a 60%. Okay, 60% value is sufficient for the social science one. So it's depend upon the guide's view whether the guides will take the thing or not. See, research is like, the research.
Yeah, I just ma'am, here intervene. Basically, what happened? Maybe when Gopal sir and other science and engineers will be understand the thing. When we are come to some structures, some machinery, some equipment, some technology, their tolerance is very important.
Hmm.
Okay, because it may cause the life failure.
Exactly.
If I going to taking the tolerance beyond the limit or some exceptional limit, if a student is scoring too high, it's not a hurt the society. Scoring score the low, it's not going to hurt the society. So here your tolerance in terms of society, because it's a psychological parameter, is the cognitive parameter. There is a bigger tolerance that is not brings to hazardous situation for the society or community. While
Exactly.
it comes to engineering, we have to move with some standardization, and we have empirical values as well some of the things which are we have only with the empirical, as ma'am explained in very initial stages, the empirical evidence are those evidence which comes from experimentations, or the we don't have even though even in the science, even in the engineering, we don't have the answer for those things. We have a just a general perception that it will happen, and these are the empirical values, and we keep at the constant in our investigation. These are the empirical values. Even
Exactly.
in the civil engineering, mechanical engineering, lots of empirical constants are there.
Yeah.
Which are take for a purpose of our estimate. So same way, when it's come to tolerance value or some the range of your data for acceptance rejections, you have a greater limits in case of the social sciences. While we come to engineering, because the life of society is associate, human life is associate, we have to be fixed over the very narrow range.
Exactly, exactly. And here I want to tell you one particular point in my research. Not more than five. I'm sorry,
Yeah, no,
Mr.
no,
Vince.
go ahead, please.
Not more than 5% of the sample should fall below XYZ value. That is what it is in our engineering.
Yes.
What you said is true. Yeah, thanks a lot,
Yeah,
Dr. Pandit.
yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Because
ma'am.
who has raised the hand, sir?
Yeah. Thank you all of you for attending today's session. Tomorrow we will join again at the 4:30. I hope you people enjoy the things, and tomorrow ma'am will come with lots of experimental or say in live insightful lecture for the tomorrow as well. Today's ma'am, I am very thankful to you to delivering such a nice lecture
Thank you, sir.
on data techniques and analysis. It's very insightful, ma'am. It's given lots of information. We are very thankful to you. And
Thank you.
tomorrow we will waiting for you, eagerly waiting for you for tomorrow's session.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.